Hi, Jenna Sky here, and I wanted to come to you today and bring you a video on creating sacred space. So, one of the things that I wanted to talk about was how you can make that more into a ritual, right? So, when we start to prepare for something, the actions and the steps that we take in preparation are our ritual for that particular intention. So, when you're thinking about creating sacred space, think about the ritual aspect of that. Think about the things you want to do to really create that sacred space. So, the number one way that most people tend to use is smudging. So, for this video, we're going to be talking about using different variations of herbs for smudging, but primarily white sage. So, when we're creating sacred space, we're usually preparing for something, whether it is a healing session to do readings, for work with the moon, manifesting. There's several different reasons why someone might want to create a sacred space or cleanse or purify the energy of an area, or even yourself if you want to cleanse and purify your aura. So first I want to talk about white sage. White sage would be the number one thing to use for cleansing and purification. Now, it's not enough to just burn a smudge stick of white sage and think, okay, my smudging's done. It doesn't quite work that way. And when you get into the world of plant medicine and understanding the energetic vibrations of each plant, yes, they do have their own energetic imprint, and that in itself creates a ripple effect of change. But what we're really looking for when we're creating sacred space is your intention added to that, because that is the power. When we are holding the smudge wand and we are intending for that smoke to cleanse the air, cleanse the energy of the space, it makes a huge difference in the power of that herb. We are amplifying its energy. And so when we're creating sacred space, we really want to focus on that. So if you're familiar with my Reiki work, I have Sacred Soul Shamanic Reiki. This is my level 1 training manual. So if you've taken this class, I actually have a section in here on creating sacred space. And I talk about a couple of different herbs. So while white sage is used for cleansing and purifying energy in a space, there is also black sage or mugwort. And that is often used to heighten awareness and spiritual insight. So that would be a great herb to use if you were creating sacred space to do a reading, because it's helping you to tap into that connection. Sweetgrass is also another common herb used for smudging, and that is burned to bring blessings to an area. So say you wanted to cleanse your house. Say you just moved into a new place and you wanted to cleanse your house, so you go around and you burn some white sage with the intention of cleansing the space. Now you want to invite in blessings. So now you would want to burn some sweetgrass around the area to invite in those blessings and good wishes, good fortune, good health, positive energy, all of that into the space, right? So sweetgrass would be a great herb to use for that. And then there's Palo Santo. Palo Santo is known as a holy wood, and it is burned to help with that spiritual connection, that divinity. So that is another good herb that is great to use if you're creating a space to do readings, but also is really great if you are doing any type of shamanic work or healing session. It really helps to amplify the energies of your healing because it calls in that divine energy. And if you work with energy healing, you know that all of that energy that we use in healing sessions comes from the divine. So I just wanted to cover a few different herbs, but for today I want to talk about using the sage in your space, right? So if you have sage, I have two different things to show you. So I created a handheld dish that has the abalone shell, and I actually fastened it to this antler so that it has a handle so I can carry it. So it's more of a traditional style. I use a big sage bundle because I do use it rather frequently. And I also keep a smudge wand handy, a feather wand, to help blow the smoke so that I can leave it burning in the dish and walk through the house and smudge the space, right? So another thing that I wanted to point out is a lot of times people have a hard time lighting their sage. So I recommend getting a torch style lighter. So this works really well for really getting in there and lighting the nooks and crannies within the sage bundles to get it burning. And also another trick that you can do is when you're reusing your sage, you want to go ahead and press it down into your bowl with like twisting motion, almost like you're using it like a mortar and pestle. And it helps to break off those burned ends so that you have more fresh sage that will light and ignite and burn nicely for you. My other favorite that I have right here next to me that we talked about is Palo Santos. So Palo Santos sticks look like just a stick of wood. It's really hard to get the lighting right with this sun's just beaming in my window. So the Palo Santos stick, it burns really easily and it smolders really well. Sometimes you have to light it a few times to use it in the space, but it has a really nice kind of sweet smell to it. I also keep white sage essential oil and Palo Santo essential oil as well, and I mix it up in a bottle with some distilled water to use as a room spray. So if I'm sick, I don't necessarily want the smoke of these things in my space because I have asthma, and so the smoke tends to bother that even more. So if I'm sick, I use my room spray versus, the actual herbs and a smudging kind of ritual. So one of the steps that you can do for creating sacred space in a room is when you light your sage, you want to walk around the space in a clockwise motion. Now, generally, you want to start where the opening is, where the door is, where the energy is coming in. And you want to start and walk in a clockwise motion, being sure to spread the smoke around the entire space as you walk around clockwise. And as you come back to the opening, you're done. That's it. Now, as you're doing this, it's not enough just to light the sage and think that it's working its magic. It's really good to incorporate some sort of saying as you're smudging the space. For me, I just like to simply use, I cleanse the space with the power of air, because the smoke is representing the power of air. So I'm invoking the element to help me in cleansing that space. Now, you don't have to do it that way. There's plenty of smudging chants that you can find online. So look them up, create your own. Whatever vibes with you is what you should use. So aside from herbs and cleansing that way for the space, sometimes we also want to cleanse ourselves. So when we're smudging ourselves, let me go ahead and light my sage. So when we're cleansing ourselves, we oftentimes like to just hold it around us. And while that's okay, what you really want to do is practice sweeping around the body, right, from head to toe, all the way down, up, and then you also want to get behind you and go down the back of the legs and back up, because we have an aura field that completely surrounds us. And so we want to make sure that we cleanse that entire space of our energy, of our being. And when we do that, we're doing that with the intention of cleansing the energy, removing anything that's negative or lower vibration from our energetic field and allowing it to be cleansed and purified, renewed, regenerated, so that our good positive energy is flowing and surrounding us. And I love the sage. Look at it. It's just beautiful. Beautiful smoke rising up. So I just wanted to share with you a quick way of creating sacred space. Now, if you're going to be working with crystals and gemstones in like a healing session, it's a great thing to have some sage burning. And then say you wanted to cleanse a stone, right? You have the smoke rising up, and you can pass the stone through the smoke with the intention that its energies be cleansed and cleared, right? That would be a quick way. If you are in my shamanic Reiki class, I teach you a variety of different ways of cleansing and charging your crystals quickly and effectively, because oftentimes we're using them in sessions. So like for me, I tend to have people that come in for sessions and I might use stones on them. I need to clear them and cleanse them quickly so that I can use them again for the person that comes in later. So it's one of those things where you have to learn different ways of cleansing and creating space. And speaking of crystals, we can also create a sacred space using stones as well. So one of my favorite stones to use to enhance the energy of an area is selenite. This is a lovely selenite tower. And I have a couple of these and I keep them around my home just because they amplify energy like crazy. So without getting too much into crystals, you know, the fact that you get these pretty commonly in tower shapes, you know, how it generates the energy up into a point, it helps to magnify the energy of this crystal. And selenite is a very high vibration stone. So hopefully I just wanted to include a little bit about using stones for that too. Now, aside from stones and herbs, that's really the two most common ways of like really creating a energetic space for yourself in a way that you want. If you want to learn more about crystals, I do offer a crystal healing class. It's a certification class, so you can look that up on my website. I also teach Sacred Soul Shamanic Reiki. My books are available on Amazon for purchase. And you can visit my website at jenaskai.com, spelled JENASKAI. And I will post that below the video, so you have that as a reference. And I hope that you find this video helpful in creating some sacred space for you. If you have any questions, drop them below and I'll answer them as soon as I can. I hope you have a wonderful day.